So greetings again, dear ones. It's great to see you all today. So as you may know, the Centers for Spiritual Living, our umbrella organization, if you will, sends out suggested topics for the months and the weeks. And so my topic for today is You Are Enough, the Art of Happiness, talking about radical interconnection. Okay. I know, right? So I'm thinking about this, and I'm driving down the road, and I'm thinking about this, and the still small voice said, well, let's look up interconnectedness. So I did. Having all constituent parts linked or connected, mutually joined or related, having internal connection between the parts or elements. So, I know. And so, but translating that into English for our purposes, connecting what our hearts tell us we want to do, be, or have with what our minds and ego tell us what we should or shouldn't do, be, or have. And the reason that I put ego like that is, remember, Wayne Dyer, I think, said that ego stands for edging God out. So think about this experience of interconnectedness, and I just really want to. My heart says, and my mind says, and, or but, or you're not old enough, young enough, rich enough, smart enough, and we'll talk much more about that as we go along. But what if we allow ourselves to reel that back and say, and if you've heard me speak before, you might remember one of my favorite affirmations is, "Tain't so. Tain't so. Tain't so," using perfect English, of course. So that's what we're talking about this morning, and I am so glad you're here. This topic is really big for me about enoughness, and you might have heard me speak about this before because I come from the place of not enoughness. I come from traditional Christianity and original sin and all of that stuff, and you have to do, be, or have something else to even begin to get in the general vicinity of the pearly gates. Well, now I know the truth, but that's where I come from. So I love to talk about this, and I'm so glad you're here. Keeping in mind, as always, that when I am speaking to you, I am always speaking to myself. One of my favorite quotes from Nathaniel Brandon: "If my aim is to prove I am enough, the project goes on to infinity because the battle was already lost on the day I conceded the issue was debatable." Wow. Isn't it? Yes. This teaching we call religious science or new thought or science of mind or whatever you choose to call it invites, encourages, and challenges us to keep moving. There's another class to take. There's another Sunday service to attend. There's another book to read. There's something else to do. What are you sitting there for? And that's fine. But do we allow ourselves to say, yeah, and I'll get to that, but right now, I am enough. Right now, in this moment, I am enough. Or do we have destination anxiety? You might have heard that expression before, and this really rings my chime. I'll be happy as soon as. I'll be successful as soon as. I'll be at peace as soon as. I'll be lovable as soon as. And so we so often postpone those feelings of our lovableness And I don't know if that's a word or not, but it is now because I just used it. But our worth of being loved until we finish the degree or get the new job or release the old job or retire or get into the new relationship or get out of the old relationship or clean out the garage or just whatever. I know, right? Good luck with that. Yes, yeah. Versus in this moment, I am the beloved. In this moment, I am a whole, complete, and perfect. And I didn't include this quote, but I so love it. I remember bits and pieces of it. Emma Curtis Hopkins, in Scientific Christian Mental Practice, she writes, "Right near at hand, right now is the heavenly city. Right now, right here. But how can it appear to us? How can we experience it if we keep talking about how it's off in the distance? In this moment, I am enough. And in this moment, we are ridiculously more than enough." But we'll talk more about that. What if we could get that our worth and value has nothing to do with our past or our bank balance or our BMI or our schooling level in college or the alphabet soup in front of and behind our names or any of the rest of that? It has to do with who we are and whose we are. And how would our lives be different if we recognize that? So we'll talk about that. So you've probably heard me talk about this book that I found. I love Facebook. I'm sorry, but I just do, and you can join me or not, and it's okay, but I get some really wise stuff, and I get advertisements for some amazing books, including this one book that I've quoted from before, Radically Content. Being Satisfied in an Endlessly Dissatisfied World by Jamie Varon. And if you're into books, I want the book, I want the paper, I want the cover, I want to hold it in my hand. You know, Kindles are fine and technology is wonderful, but I want the book. But if you don't have this in your library, I so invite you to consider it. It's an absolutely beautiful book. But great wisdom that I will share with you. So we're going to talk today about being, doing, and having. Starting with being. Okay, so I'm going to come out this morning, and you might have heard me talk about this before, but for whatever reason, I learned to tie my shoes with rabbit ears. You know, you do the circle with the one and the circle with the other, and somehow, some way, they get tied. Yeah. I type with one finger on each hand. Yes. Yep. Yes. Yeah. I know. It is amazing. It's the most amazing thing. And you know what happens? My shoes get tied. My paper gets typed, or my email gets done, just in a different way. So is how I do it wrong and bizarre and weird? Or is maybe, and that's okay. But I would also suggest that how I do it, how you do it, is how we do it. Thank you very much. And if it accomplishes the goal, what difference does it make? So what do we do differently from somebody else, and we judge ourselves bad or wrong versus, well, that's fine. That's just the way I do it. There are experiences and opportunities and possibilities and vocations that just make my heart sing. And I know there are yours as well. And there's a whole long list of things I don't want to do. I don't want to ride the roller coaster at Disneyland. I don't want to do it. And I did it once and didn't lose my cookies or anything. I was fine, but it does the loop. And it was great, and this is so much fun, and I am never doing this again. Thank you. In London, British Airways has the London Eye, which is this gigantic, huge, massive Ferris wheel on the banks of the Thames. Absolutely amazing. Oh my God, this is so cool. Oh boy. So on one of the railings, there are still the knuckle indentations because I am holding on for dear life. Did that once, won't do it again. Won't go to the top of the Eiffel Tower. I just don't want to do it. How important it is for us to recognize that makes our hearts sing and our tails wag are ours to do. Those that don't aren't. And we're divinely guided, and we are divinely allowed to say yes and to say no. And I'll talk more about that. Because if everybody, and skiing, that's a whole separate Sunday talk, but oh boy, I am so not doing that, and that's a whole separate conversation. But and had some guilt and some shame, and for the love of God, Jerry, why don't you just get up and do that? I'm not doing that. And what the still small voice told me was, not only am I allowed, but I'm encouraged to say yes and say no, because if everybody wanted the same thing, you wouldn't be able to ski because there'd be a line of however many million people waiting to get on the lift. And if everybody only liked chocolate ice cream, we'd run out of chocolate ice cream. That's why there's vanilla and tutti frutti and pistachio and mint chocolate chip and Rocky Road and all the rest of that, right? Do we remember those words from A Course in Miracles? God himself would be incomplete without me, just exactly as in this moment I am, with my goofiness, with my likes and dislikes, with my everything. God himself would be incomplete without you, just exactly as you are in this moment. Do we get that? Or do we come from that place of not enoughness? And if you come from traditional Christianity, if you've still got any stuff about original sin, I so invite you to look at that, because our deservedness, our belief in our deservedness affects how we make choices in our lives and how our affirmative prayer, our spiritual mind treatment, manifests for us. Because if we're praying for something and we're affirming something and we absolutely know it is, and so it is, but if we don't believe we deserve it, it's not going to happen for us. So important to recognize that. Do I have something else? Oh. So you might have heard me talk about this before. We were in Las Vegas probably 15 years ago, and I'm minding my own business in Cracker Barrel. Now, if you've not been, you gotta go. Closest one, there's one in up north of Los Angeles, Victorville and Yuma. We're talking, so get your cholesterol ready because it's gonna hit the ceiling, but it's a religious experience. And I know religious experiences. So and they always have these great gift shops, and I mind my own business in the gift shop, and I find this sentiment on a plaque and just totally dissolved. But don't you love the sentiment of this? I'm not beautiful like you are. I'm beautiful like me. Just exactly in this moment as I am. Not to say that there's not something else I want to do, be, or have. Not to say that there isn't something else that I want to stop doing, being, or having, but how cool is it in this moment, I am the beloved. I love that sentiment. So that's the being. Then the doing. Well, what are you sitting there for? You need to be up doing something. And in no way do I blame my parents for that, but I don't even blame the church. It just was what it was. But I somehow grew up with a belief that you need to be, in order to earn love, I need to be doing something. So, there is trash to be taken out. There is a floor to be vacuumed. There is, a lawn to be mowed, and those kinds of things. And so I grew up in that performance-based, I used to call it performance-based acceptance. So keep moving, keep doing, and at some point maybe you'll have done enough and be enough so that they'll love you. But if life is lived from the inside out, and we absolutely know that it is, if we don't have that love within us for ourselves, if we don't allow ourselves to be our own Valentine on Friday, anything else that somebody else does or says isn't going to make any difference. That love, that acceptance, that nurturing must come from within us, and then watch how life responds. But it has to come from within us. That's so important. This concept of not enoughness, and I don't know about you, but sometimes I start my day in that experience. Didn't get enough sleep. Didn't have enough coffee, don't have enough time, don't have enough money, don't have enough knowledge, am not enough. And because life has no choice but to respond as we believe, I absolutely believe that the universe has a sense of humor, but so a loving experience. Well, if you don't have enough of all that, let me make sure to give you not enough parking at Costco, not enough time to do this, not enough whatever. Right. Versus, I am enough, I do enough, I got enough, I have enough, and then allow life to bring us that experience, because it's always up to us. So do we have that destination anxiety? Do we have that belief, so I'll be successful and happy and enough and all that at some future date? Or can we be satisfied and successful and happy in this red hot moment? Because if you've ever done that, you know it's hard work to postpone that happiness and that joy to some future date. Because what if we run out of time? Why couldn't we have that happiness and that feeling of success and that feeling of enoughness right now? It's always up to us. Do we allow ourselves to say yes and to say no? You might have heard me talk about this before, and again, appreciate your being in the room, but I'm always talking to myself. Do we allow ourselves to say no? And if not, why not? There was a great article, was it Business Week? Might have been a couple of years ago that a dear friend sent me, and I absolutely love the concept of this. Often we say yes because it seems kind, but forcing ourselves to do things we don't have time, energy, or money to do, or don't align with our values or priorities, or that we simply don't want to do, can lead to other problems, such as resentment and regret. Ever said yes to something, and then as soon as the words fell out of your mouth, you're like, why in the world did I agree to do that? So regret to me, regret is just about the worst emotion because you can't go back and undo whatever it was. And then, but there's the regret. And then I don't know about you, but for me, I have resentment because how come you asked me to do that? You knew I would say yes. So I resent you for asking me. And I regret, right, it's your fault. And I regret saying yes to it. But what if we took that? What if we allowed that? A Course in Miracles talks about the holy instant that something happens or somebody asks something, and we allow ourselves to take that holy instant to decide to draw on that interconnectedness, the connection between heart and mind, and listen to the still small voice and see how we're guided and either say, yes, I really want to do that, or no. Thanks so much for thinking of me. So how do we say no without, and I don't know about you, but there have been times when I've said no and it's taken me 20 minutes to say no because I am trying to say no, but I got to give you all the excuses of why I don't want to do that. Well, I have some suggestions from this article. So it's appreciation plus the no plus well wishes. For example, thank you so much for thinking of me. I actually don't have time in my schedule right now, but I know it will be a great event. I know, right? And it worked, right? Yep. No, I don't think I've ever done that, but anyway. Yeah. Thanks for sharing what you're up to. There's the appreciation. Right now, I'm not in the market for this. That's the no. But I wish you the best with this. I know you'll be successful. Or, I love that you're passionate about this. I won't be able to make it, but let me know how it goes, and I know you'll crush it. Appreciation plus the no plus well wishes feels so much better than trying to come up with all the excuses and the reasons why we don't want to do that. Because the truth is, the reason we don't want to do that is we don't want to do that. And that's okay. That's absolutely okay. But there's always a but. But, and this comes, if I got nothing else out of this book, Radically Content by Amy Veron, if I got nothing else out of this book, this to me was worth the price, because I've lived my life in so many ways with this question. If I say yes or no, what will they think? What will they think? Quoting the book, what will they think is a 4-word question that has killed more dreams and happiness than any other. Who is they, and why do we care so much about what they think? Who is this faceless group of people that's going to come for us if we don't measure up to their ideal? And why are we not encouraged to examine this idea we take as an absolute inconvertible truth? How often do we base our yeses and nos on what will they think? Who are they? Who are they? When you get to be a certain age, you can make goofy decisions and do goofy things, and people will say, "Oh God, there he goes again," or "There she goes again," and that's okay, because it was my decision to make, not yours. Those of you who are not a certain age, you still don't have to worry about it. It's coming, right? Right. But don't postpone standing in your truth until you get to be a certain age. I love the concept of that. So being, doing, and having. When I was with you last month, I talked about clutter and all those amazingly wonderful things, treasures, in quotation marks, that are in my garage. And I am making progress, but there's still a lot of stuff. And I was, as many of you know, I was in a relationship before, and we collected a lot of stuff, and my beloved really loved to cook. So I have cooking stuff and cooking stuff and cooking stuff. And to me, cooking is taking the wrapper off and putting it in the microwave. So I have no desire to do any of that. And so it's an ongoing task of, gee, this is great, but I don't need this anymore. So I know. So many of us, and there's no judgment here, but so many of us, and that 50 years ago, we would have taken our money and invested in land and a self-storage business, right? Just about everybody I know has more stuff than they have room for, and so it's in storage. Or it's in the hall closet, or it's in the kitchen drawer, or whatever the case might be. And there's no judgment here. It's just, if it's not serving you, there's the opportunity to decide, is having this enriching my life, or is it time to let go? But I would suggest that there's more to it than just the stuff in the garage or the stuff in the drawer. Clutter can be relationships that no longer serve us, commitments that don't make our tail wag anymore. Yeah, I've been doing this for 26 years. And how is that serving you? Whatever this is. Beliefs. It's still a new year. We're 6 weeks into it, but it's still a new year. What are we bringing with us? Our beliefs about our worth and our value, about our money, about our health, about our lives. What are we bringing with us into the new year that really could be classified as clutter? And our stories. It just broke my heart when they just fractured my heart when it just blew my mind when. And I don't know about you, but my experience was that I told the story of being lovingly released, which sounds way better than laid off, from my job in the end of 2008. And I got a lot of mileage out of it and some awe, until the still small voice finally got a word in edgewise and said, for the love of God, stop telling this story. And then my life changed. But if we're telling that story, we're still focusing on what we didn't want, rather than looking forward to what we do want and what's next for us. So I invite us to consider, what stories are we telling, and what are we ready to forgive and release? Call that clutter, let it go, and move on. So why does it matter? Well, what we focus on expands. The clutter, the old stuff that no longer serves us, the clothes that don't fit anymore, the exercise equipment, the golf clubs, the just whatever it was, doesn't matter how much you spend on it. If you don't use it anymore and maybe beat yourself up over it, it's clutter, and we can let it go. So what if in this moment you are already enough? You are already the beloved. What if there's nothing you need to do, be, have, change, get rid of, buy, that will make you okay? What if you are not only okay, but you are the beloved in this moment? And because of that, I can be happy with goals. I want to do this next month, and this in 6 months, and this in 5 years, and that's absolutely wonderful, and as it should be. But it's also okay to be radically content right now. So I have a long quote for you. Bear with me on this. This is from Jamie Veron's book. A radically content life includes all my most honest dreams and desires, but doesn't delay the enjoyment of the present moment. A life that doesn't wait to earn my joy, relaxation, or health. A life that isn't out of balance, skewed in favor of trying to accomplish my way into self-worth. In that sense, contentment is not about living without dreams or hopes, not complacency, not settling. It's about living fully expressed, not delaying my joy for the promise of some future check mark that society has told me to want. When you're content with where you are, it doesn't make you less motivated. It makes you motivated by the right things. Love, passion, enjoyment, genuine desire, and you aren't striving for worthiness. Achievement, dreams, accomplishment, all of that becomes the cherry on top of an already wonderful life. It's absolutely possible to be both ambitious and content. So right now, right here in this red hot second, there's nothing we need to do, nothing we need to change to be worthy and acceptable and the beloved. So take the class, clean out the garage, go on the trip, lose 20 pounds, gain 20 pounds, whatever you want to do, but be aware of the fact that none of that is contributing to your worth and value because you were already the beloved. And from time to time, I meant to make a slide for this, we can choose to move out of FOMO, which is the fear of missing out, and into JOMO, which is the joy of missing out. Thanks so much. I just don't want to do that. The sacred no. Don't you love that? I just love that. From FOMO to JOMO. I just don't want to do that. If you want to go to a Super Bowl party this afternoon, that's awesome. If you don't want to, that's awesome too, because it's your afternoon and you get to decide, and the team will, whatever team wins, will win with you or without you. And it's okay either way. So again, interconnectedness, having all the constituent parts linked or connected, mutually joined or related, having internal connection between the parts or elements. So as we make the decisions, we get to decide in that connection from our hearts to our heads, is this mine to do? Does this make my tail wag? Do I want to do this? And then respond appropriately, because life is so much happier and more joyful when we're doing what really lights us up, rather than like doing what we feel like we need to. So two more things. So in 1991, I know, right? My late husband and I found the New Thought Center for Creative Living in Mission Valley. And the first book that I bought, and as you've heard me talk about before, and Reverend Dr. Suzette knows, I have a lot of books. And I gave away half my books. And I still, to Ohm, and I still have a lot of books. But the first book I found in 1991 was Key to Yourself by Venice Bloodworth. And in the book, and I was working at the company, we were at Torrey Pines, and I would take my book and go down to the beach and sit at a picnic table and read this book. And it just absolutely changed my life. And in the book she writes, the hardest work you have to do is to depend on your inner self, because you've been taught to look always to someone else. As small children, we depended on mother. Later we looked for both parents for everything. Always we have looked outside of ourselves. It is perfectly right and proper that small children should depend on their parents, but they should be taught to recognize their own power and to use it. Every man should work, but should not depend on the job as his only means of support. So, depending on that inner self, that inner wisdom, that yes and that no that all of us have, we all have that wisdom and guidance. And just because I want something that you don't doesn't mean it wrong or bad or different. It just is. It just absolutely is. So this has been an amazing week. And I had the opportunity to be with about 120 high school students for the Aspen Challenge. And if we're friends on Facebook, you might have seen my posting. This is a project by the Bezos Family Foundation. So this is Jeff's mother and father. They have the Aspen Institute, and they go to major cities across the country and invite 4 high schools to come in and learn about what's going on in the community and create and receive a challenge and create a solution to that challenge. So 120 kids in this huge room over at Liberty Station. Surfrider Foundation was there. The Gay and Lesbian Center was there. The City of San Diego was there. Urban Street Angels was there, and some others as well. And these 120 sophomores and juniors and seniors were fully engaged in this situation in the community, questioning how they can help. And so I've been up to my neck with high school students this week. On Thursday, Mission Bay High School, their Cesar Chavez Service Club, did a drive for us for canned food and hygiene supplies. And so these 15 or so young people came and brought like 25 boxes of non-perishable food items. I know. So the point is, when we're on Facebook, when we're watching the news, we're seeing goofy stuff. And what I want you to know is there's way more that's going on that even though we don't see it, doesn't mean for a second that it's not happening. And this younger generation is going to take us into the most amazing future. I absolutely know that. And the way that it's going to one of the ways it's going to happen is the support from organizations like Nickelodeon. So Nickelodeon is a TV network for youth. And I want to close with this amazing video that Martin's going to play for us.
This is me, so here I am. Not ashamed, come and catch me if you can.
What you see is what you get now, and I won't change a thing.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I ain't sorry, 'cause I like being me. So no more waiting on the sidelines, no more hiding on the inside, no apologies. Love it or hate it, I'ma just be me. Say no more, don't need your approval. What for? Breaking all the rules, so no apologies. Love it or hate it, I'ma just be me. No one's built quite perfectly, but who cares? I am everything I need. Fitting in is overrated, so don't just play some part. Never copy, duplicate it. Just be who you are. So no more waiting on the sidelines, no more hiding on the inside, no apologies. Love it or hate it, I'ma just be me. Say no more, don't need your approval. What for? Breaking all the rules, so no apologies. Love it or hate it, I'ma just be me. I keep it moving to my own beat, undefeated, me and me. Can't nobody do it better. No. So no more waiting on the sidelines. No more hiding on the inside. No apologies. Love it or hate it, I'ma just be me. No more, don't need no proof for what. For breaking all the rules, so no apologies. Love it or hate it, I'ma just be me.
How cool is that? How cool is that? May all of our young people see that. May all of our not so young people see that. And with that in mind, join me in the light for just a minute. So we give great thanks for this day, for the opportunity to be together, for this beloved spiritual community that we call home. We allow ourselves to move forward, especially this week, in being our own Valentine, in allowing ourselves to say yes and to say no, to come from that place of interconnectedness where our hearts and our minds agree on what is ours to do and what is not, with no apologies. We give thanks for this day, for the possibility, for the passion, for the joy. For our time together and this day, we give great thanks. And together we say, and so it is. And we'll bring back James.